There's nothing about meat that in any way stimulates brain development.
People with low DHA and EPA, which are long-chain omega-3 fatty acids, tend to actually have their brain shrink over time.
DHA and EPA. But if you aren't making enough of this stuff to keep your brain healthy, there are studies showing that as the decades go by, long-term vegans can suffer brain shrinkage and dementia risk.
And get this, vegetarians and vegans can easily be EPA and DHA deficient, even if you're taking flaxseed, eating flaxseed and chia seeds, because that produces ALA, but your body has to turn ALA to DPA and EPA, DHA and EPA, and it has about a 10% efficiency in doing so.
And because vegans don't eat fish, as the years go by, vegans can wind up with lowish levels of DHA. And because so much DHA is used by the brain, there's been concern that these lower levels of DHA in the brain might predispose vegans to decrease in cognition function and even downright dementia. And I certainly had been taking the DHA supplementation myself and recommending that others take it as well. Well, this was the way it was till recently so I've changed my thinking on taking supplemental DHA. I've stopped taking it myself, and I'm going to stop recommending that people take the supplemental DHA themselves.
It's the vitamin everyone makes fun of vegans for, like, oh, vegans can't get B12, your diet sucks. Well, no, you can just take a supplement or eat fortified foods.
Likewise, the vegan diet's not perfect. We don't get a lot of B12, and so if you don't take B12, you could get higher homocysteine levels, and you get higher homocysteine levels, you are at an increased risk of having a stroke or a heart attack.
Without B12 fortified foods or B12 supplements, when omnivores are switched to a vegan diet, they develop vitamin B12 deficiency.
If you don't get enough of it, you can actually die.
You may start getting increased risk of cognitive deficits and brain shrinkage and stroke and depression. That's where this molecule comes in, creatine. It acts as a quick reserve energy boost when your fuel supply, oxygen and blood sugar, is running low, and transported to the brain and our muscles, the two places we need the most rapid energy deployment. The brain only takes up about 2% of body weight, but may use up to 25% of the body's energy, which found that although the overall cardiovascular disease risk is lower in vegetarians and vegans combined, they appeared to be at slightly higher stroke risk. Then I'd suggest trying as an experiment, taking 1 gram of creatine a day, and getting your homocysteine levels retested in a month to see if it helped. For now, to be on the safe side, I'd advise against taking creatine, concerned that creatine supplements might contain toxic impurities. In the process of making creatine, your body produces homocysteine as a byproduct. They took a bunch of vegans who were not supplementing their diets with vitamin B12, so some of their homocysteine levels were like through the roof, a few as high as 50, when the ideal is more like under 10.
There seems to be an epidemic of this so-called hyperhomocysteinemia, or too much homocysteine, in the blood of vegans. Again, this is a toxic substance, so we want low levels in our blood. So now the goal is to have a homocysteine level under 10. Vegans, 27.
And this results in an elevation of homocysteine levels that may explain why vegetarians were recently found to have higher rates of stroke.
5-point drop in homocysteine levels in this country, we would save the lives of 56,000 Americans every year. It's a neurotoxin. It kills brain cells. Increased rates of degenerative brain disease, stroke risk. People with homocysteine levels over 14 are 4 times more likely to develop Alzheimer's disease. Age-related hearing loss, birth defects, miscarriages, blood clots, cognitive decline, depression, the list goes on. And even moderately elevated levels of this toxic substance have just been shown to be a setup for heart disease.
And as we all know, dietary supplements are not regulated by the FDA and may contain contaminants or not actually contain what's on the label. Contaminants generated during the industrial production.
There was Bonnie Rebecca. She said her cholesterol was too low. That's why she was having health problems. No such thing as having too low cholesterol, by the way.
I love it. Is it ever possible for the numbers to be too low? My LDL is 57 and my total cholesterol is 99, and I've had regular non-vegan doctors worry about me.
Well, we've actually had the concerns, just to be upfront about it, is that your brain would go away. Because the brain has a lot of cholesterol.
Uh-huh.
And so if your cholesterol is too low, perhaps wound healing, tissue healing is going to be a problem.
She wouldn't be eating eggs if she thought she needed higher cholesterol. She could have just eaten coconut oil or palm oil, which is actually more effective at raising your cholesterol than just eating cholesterol from eggs.
LDL cholesterol, the bad stuff, may not change in number, but it changes in character. So prothrombotic means that it's more likely to create clots in your blood vessels. And so this is exactly what we don't want. And all of this can be reversed if people stop eating sugar.
And on top of that, just make some dietary modifications within a 100% plant-based diet. You don't need to consume so much fiber. Instead of eating entirely whole foods, switch to some refined grains like white rice.
Not consume foods that are hormonally unfavorable or glycemically unfavorable, like pasta, white bread. I always say the whiter the bread, sooner you're dead. In other words, we're saying that when you have high insulin and high glucose levels, glucose spikes destroy brain cells. And eating commercial baked goods and highly glycemic, a diet that's of high glycemic load has been shown to increase risk of breast cancer by 87% and lose brain function and cognitive brain shrinkage.
There are a lot of people saying, well, fruit is good for you, therefore fructose is okay, and if it's not concentrated like high fructose corn syrup, that it's going to be good for you, and glucose is not good, and table sugar, sucrose, not good. Well, no, they're really the same.
When you replace meat with refined carbohydrates, you experience no health benefits whatsoever.
And he'll show you why sugar, including fruit sugar, can be damaging when you're sick, especially.
But keto and vegan have one enemy, and that's sugar. Okay.
And vitamin D is an issue. Too low vitamin D levels predispose you to everything from immune deficiencies to dementia.
Also, you really want to make sure you're getting vitamin D either through food or a supplement. Sunlight isn't really a reliable way to get vitamin D.
Where does vitamin D come from? Well, if you get enough warm sunshine throughout the year, you don't have a problem.
And you can see Dr. Greger starts out by saying that basically vitamin D pills really don't offer much benefit. That he says when researchers put supplements to the test, the purported links often didn't pan out. In only a handful of conditions have interventional studies proven vitamin D to be effective.
Oh man, I'm just so bloated. Maybe it's that vegan diet I started last week.
Study says no.
Whoa, I feel so anemic. I just started vegan.
Study says no.
Oh, okay. I'm like bleeding out of my gums.
The study says no. You shut your...
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Mike.